So, Gino, you own three companies in Chicago. What are the names?
I got two shops, two subscription shops, Transamatic of Chicago, Transamatic of Des Plaines, and then Slauson Transmission Parts. So we do repair and parts.
Well, perfect. And I'm assuming that the parts are nationwide and the repair is local.
Yeah, repair is local to Chicago, and the parts are basically worldwide. We've shipped parts in Italy, basically Europe, all over Europe, pretty much all around the world. I think the farthest is probably Australia that I know of. So
fantastic. So a couple quick questions. By the way, thanks for joining us today. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. What do you like best about what you do?
I think service. I mean, in life, it should never be about money. I mean, money is the after effect of doing something positive, and hopefully you build up a company and it gets to where you want it to go. But service, especially my dad always taught, service is the most important thing. You got customers who come back or give you great word of mouth and they have a good experience. That's the best thing you could ever ask for. So service for me is a big deal. And, the few times when I was younger, as you know, you grew up in a shop too, and when you work for your dad, it's a learning experience, and can be like a meat grinder, because your dad's going to probably treat you harder than anybody who works on the payroll.
Absolutely.
And he can't. So, a few times I would get upset or angry or frustrated with a customer, and he'd be like, hey, be nice, because, that guy or that customer puts food on the table, puts gas in your car, and you got to do what's necessary to please them. And that's what it's about. So
I think I know the answer, but for those that are viewing this, what exactly got you started in the industry?
Well, my dad grew up in the shop. I mean, I've done other things in life besides working in the automotive field, but somehow it always pulled me back into it somewhere or somehow. So call it destiny or something else. But yeah, it was my dad working in the shop, sweeping the floor, cleaning tools, cleaning valve bodies, doing the basics at maybe 8, 9 years old. Probably was even a little bit younger. And going from there. I mean, I've done every job there is in a shop. So from janitor to, R&R. So
you obviously you're pretty good at juggling. If you have three businesses, three locations throughout Chicago, you're able to visit each of them each day, or
I used to try to do all three in a day, but it becomes kind of nonsense. You spend half the day in the car. So I try to focus every day on one business and then maybe two, but I usually try to just designate myself to go to one business per day if I can, and spend the time there and make sure they got everything, my employees, and they need everything, what it is. If it's supplies or, sometimes being an owner or manager, sometimes they just need emotional support. Some of these guys have crises of their own, if it's at home or at work.
Absolutely.
Especially what we've been through the last few months. Not everybody's on the up and up all the time, so you gotta sit down and talk to them and say what's going on. So
I agree. So in now you have obviously the retail operations and your wholesale operation on the parts. So it's a dual question. What would be an example of what you'd call a fantastic client, a dream client?
a dream client would be somebody who obviously respects what you do and is grateful. Right? I'm a big believer in being humble and grateful. But when you have a customer that follows you for years and gives you great word of mouth and supports you in what you do, and I probably have a handful of those. I mean, I've had the same customers from my dad who are still in business. I mean, there's guys we've been dealing with for 40 years, and they still have their shops. And I have one guy in downtown. He's 80 something years old by Wrigley Field, by Cubs Stadium. He's still there. He's still working every day. He's a old school European, and he he saw World War II and he saw the Nazis and he saw all that stuff happen. So he's been through the worst of the worst. So for him, I he'd probably say the same thing as I do. You know, he loves what he does and he doesn't want to retire. He wants to keep going. So yeah, he's a dream client. He's been loyal since the beginning. So
How about on the other end of Slauson?
Slauson, you know, Slauson was a huge task because it was around since 1956, and then you know, it was one of those companies that was like on a third generation, and there was a lot of people who were still buying from the old days. So when I bought it, I think it was about 3 years ago, and moved it to Chicago, you know, it was a huge hurdle to try to, you know, get those customers to come back. But there were some real loyal people who were buying since the beginning. So there were some really great clients that I didn't even know of until obviously down the road when we started taking phone calls again. So with the parts, you know, it's great because we got the Transmission Brotherhood and we got Facebook and Instagram. So we're all connected, even though maybe we don't talk to each other on the phone personally. I'll answer anyone's questions when they're looking for parts or they have a hard time finding parts, because Slauson was known for, you know, finding the hard part or the part that wasn't available. They usually had it. So we try very hard to, you know, get those orders and get them out in a timely fashion. So, yeah.
I understand you're doing a really good job at it, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
I think the
you.
industry is really happy to see Slauson back again.
It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, it was hard, and a few times I wanted to quit real bad, but you know, once you quit, you can't get that magic back in the bottle. You know, you can't get that genie back.
I don't think quit's in your vocabulary.
I hope so.
No, I definitely. So speaking of that, it brings me. What are your type of challenges that are in the business
Right
that
now,
you run into?
before COVID, or after COVID?
How about both?
Okay. Before COVID, I would say in all the businesses we have a price war going on in the automotive industry. I mean, especially on the repair side. I mean, you know, we're just talking about it. You know, we go from feast or famine. I mean, the transmission industry, especially, you're either swamped or you got nothing. And the biggest problem I can see is it's taking more time to work on these cars. It's taking more time to just on the electronic side, updating the car, especially CVTs. You got to update and program every car to the computer so the computer knows it's a new transmission, and then resetting the adapts. I mean, I grew up probably I spent more time on the diagnostic side than the actually rebuilding and repairing side, because my dad kind of pushed me that way, because most of the guys when I was coming through didn't even want to touch a scanner. You know, we had the old snap-on brick. I don't know if you remember with the cartridges.
Sure,
I
sure.
mean, when that thing came out, nobody wanted to touch it, and everybody said, "I'm not staying in this business," because we went from carburetor to, you know, computer controlled, electronic controlled vehicles, and at that time, and now we're going through that actually again, because now it's even more so. It's less parts in a transmission, and basically more computer, more electronics. So you really have to be a brain surgeon to a point to be in this business. But the biggest problem is time. Time is fleeting. Especially during the week, as you know, when you're busy, the time flies. I mean, it's Monday and it's already Thursday or Friday. You're like, what happened? And it's like, you got to get these cars out, and people need their cars because, you know, people can't live without them. I mean, you know, not many people have more than one car, and if they do, the spouse or the kids drive it, so they're depending on you. So it's difficult. So, you know, I love to raise my prices, but it's hard to raise your prices when there's other shops around you who are not doing the job you're doing, putting used units in or just trying to patch it up. And, you know, you tell them $3,000 for a job, and then maybe, you know, with a new computer, a new valve body, and a new converter, and all the new basics inside, and you got the guy down the street maybe go buy a unit from LKQ or the junkyard and buys it for $1,000, and they hope for the best. And it may work, it may not work, but it's a price war. The parts, I don't do the price war thing because there's no point. If I have the parts and no one else has it, it is what it is. Either you're going to pay for it or you're not. If you want to try to make it, go make it work. But after this COVID-19, I think the biggest thing is getting people back on the rhythm, because we were really in a funk for a long time. So it's getting the employees back on the rhythm, getting the customers back on a rhythm.
Froze up. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, just getting everything back on a rhythm. Then we're getting there. So that's the big thing.
Well, again, I mean, hats off to you. I know you guys are doing well. I know this, obviously, with the COVID, extremely challenging times for your industry, many industries. Very challenging for our industry.
Oh yeah.
If you don't take credit cards, we don't make any money. It's pretty simple.
Right.
So where else do you, or how exactly do you network / advertise / reach out to people? How are you, obviously, the shops have been around 40 plus years, and Slosson's been around 70 years, but still, with today's day and age, are you guys into the social media? What do you do to network to bring in business?
On the repair side, I do a lot of Google, and I do a lot of keywords and a lot of pay for click, and I do Yelp here and there when I think it's useful, but I'm not a big fan of Yelp because you get these people with the reviews and they just try to get back at you when they don't, when they want it for free, they're gonna write a bad review. It's our time is worth something, as your time is worth something. So, but Google works for the repair side. For the parts, honestly, Facebook and Instagram works great. It's very good, and you can get a good network going. I do a little LinkedIn and Twitter, but I think Instagram and Facebook is the best. And then on the repair side, I would say Google is the best. So that's what I do. And then, I do sometimes I'll do, the directory or the, Chamber of Commerce or whatever town I'm in. I'll do the ads and I'll put in the book if it makes sense to do it that year. And then, in the beginning, Des Plaines is only my shop. It's only 5 years old. So I was doing everything to get it going because there was another shop here which had a really bad reputation. So I had to push a little harder on the advertising and the logo and do all that to change people's opinion. Oh, this is not the old shop. This is Trans-O-Matic. So I pushed really hard. I even did mailers. I did postcards in the mail. I did coupons. I even did, behind the receipt at the grocery store, I did the little ad behind there. I mean, I went all the way. And you saw Trans-O-Matic. I even did a big billboard off the street, those big billboards. I mean, I went all the way because I wanted to be successful, and I knew I had to take the hit and put the money into it to get that, return, and it worked out. But I don't do all now because it off its feet. It's once you get off its feet, you can cut back on the marketing and do more organic, like social media and Google. So.
And I know on the Slauson side, besides Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, I see you in Trans Digest, in the Gears magazine. I would assume that's working out for you.
I started doing Gears. We're doing once a year, but I'm going to do monthly starting actually this month. And Gears is a great source. I mean, great people. ATRA is a great organization. Can't say more about it. Very supportive. And obviously we do Expo every year. It's Vegas last year. It's going to be Nashville this year. God willing, hopefully it happens. And it's great networking. I mean, it's one of the best organizations. I mean, my dad was a big supportive of ATRA, and that's how I know Mike Sousa, and that's how we met, and then that's how I met other people, and that's how I met people in the Brotherhood.
That's how I met you.
It's a great resource. Huh?
It is. It's a great resource. It's good for all of us. Been good for you. It's been great for Chosen Payments. So let me switch gears here. Your story is great. I love it. The fact that you're second generation and you've done obviously extremely well, and you're living on your dad's legacy, and obviously he'd be extremely proud of you if you were here today. Um, how how's Chosen Payments doing for you?
What'd you
hear me,
say?
Gino?
You broke up.
Oh, okay. So how's Chosen Payments doing for your three companies? How are we performing?
Oh, Chosen, very good. I mean, we've had no issues. Good customer service. You guys are there if we make a phone call and we need some help. Great support. Uh, Way better than our old company, I have to say. Your rates are better. Customer support's better. All around better. So I have no complaints. And you're all right. So you make it happen, buddy. You know that.
And I appreciate it. And listen, we
You're the real reason.
thank you. I mean, we're no different than you. We're looking for all the avenues we can to reach out, all the referrals we can get. We try to do everything that we can to obviously, other than the price, get you the greatest service that money could buy, and we call it our white glove service. I think we do a pretty good job of it. We're like everyone else. We do have our ups and downs, but we come home.
Excellent.
Well, great. Well, listen, that's basically all I had. I assume that it's okay with you that we share this on the social media links, and let everybody know who Gino is.
Sure.
And everybody watching, if you're in Chicago and you need a transmission, Gino will hook you up. And if you're a transmission shop and you need parts, I know for a fact Slauson will definitely come through for you. I think you got parts that go back to the 30s, don't you?
Definitely.
Cool.
Definitely. And same thing with you guys. You want help with the credit card side. You guys are the ones. We're chosen. So
we are chosen, and you are chosen.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the business support.
All right, buddy. Yep. Listen, I'm gonna let you go,
That's
man.
All right.
Go smoke your cigar, have your drink, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in October in Nashville. All right, man.
Definitely. I'll buy you a drink, buddy.
You got it. All right. Thanks, Gino. Thank you for your support, bud.
God loves you, buddy.
All right.
God loves you, buddy.
Thank you. You too, man.
Take
We'll
care.
see you later.